Hi, hello, good morning. It is the 12th of October 2025 and it's a Sunday. I have managed to find everything that I was given by the estate agent 9 years ago that allowed me to rent the house that I'm currently in. The biggest mistake that so many people make, especially if you are fortunate enough to be a long-standing tenant, is that they misplace this information or they throw it away or they get quite complacent about it. Now, my tenancy agreement when I took on this property, originally, it was only supposed to be for 6 months. And the main reason for that was because the landlord of the property was stage 4 cancer. He was terminally ill. I got told, don't get too comfortable. You're not going to be there more than 6 months. And I've actually been here for 9 years. I have tried to liaison with the estate agent on many occasions, but as this has never been what they call a managed tenancy through the estate agent, all they were basically responsible for doing was giving me the keys to the house. They were responsible for doing the necessary checks that were required to make sure that I was a suitable tenant for this property. They gave me checking in photographs, my deposit, and if you are ever going to rent, it doesn't matter who you are renting off, if you end up paying a deposit, make sure it's in a deposit protection scheme. Otherwise, you're screwed. So many people have been putting on social media, stop paying your rent, stop paying your rent. If they're kicking you out, stop paying your rent. That is the worst mistake you can make. All right, I will not stop paying my rent. I will not stop paying my rent until the day that I am evicted from this property. The other thing is I have done all the necessary things so far, which is notifying my local council that I am due to be homeless within the next 6 to 8 weeks. And I have got enough evidence to prove that I've been actively seeking alternative accommodation. Sadly, obviously, like most people over the years, I have been negligent, I have been complacent. I'm not one of these people who wants to be constantly paranoid and obsessed. I wanted to live my life. So every time my landlord was verbally abusive or aggressive to me, I did not always keep a record of when that took place. So if that does happen to you, try and keep a record. I know it sounds stupid because, it's like when you're in a relationship with somebody, the first time they might say, oh, you're a stupid fucking bitch. You don't take it as being abuse. But if you've been in a relationship with somebody for like 7 to 8 years and they're still calling you a stupid fucking bitch and it's not done like, as a joke or something that you've consented to, but it's being done abusively, then obviously that is going to be grounds for domestic violence. So obviously with my landlord, I was a little bit complacent. I was too lenient, in my opinion, over the years of, when the boiler didn't work or when the central heating didn't work for 10 weeks solid. Because I was constantly given the reassurance, don't worry, it'll be fixed. Next week. I waited and I waited and I waited. And then it got to the point 3 years ago where my boiler just had not been serviced. And I was like, for fuck's sake, you're taking the bloody piss, okay? When the shower never worked, you told me you don't need a shower because you've got a bath. When the kitchen set on fire because the oven didn't close properly, I was told to put a chair in front of the door. When the washing machine stopped working until I could afford to buy my own, now that may be a bit of a sticking point. So this is why I am getting support from professionals. Fingers crossed. I was told to use the laundrette. Even though when I moved into the property, there were a few white goods available to me as a tenant. And it is one of the main reasons why I took on the tenancy. I took on the tenancy because there was a bath, there was a shower over the bath. It all worked when I moved in and then it stopped working. There was an outdoor security light. Again, it worked and then it stopped working. There was a light outside the front of the house. It worked and then it stopped working because there was something wrong with the electrics. There was adequate storage, like behind me, this is under the stairs, but that just became an absolute death trap when we started getting leaks upstairs in the property and the roof caved in. There was an extension giving me extra space and enabling me to section off the kitchen from my son, who is disabled and constantly centrally seeking. And if there wasn't a way of me closing a door to the kitchen, then he would have constantly have been in there trying to steal food. And lo and behold, he has done that a few times over the years, but it's enabled me to kind of prevent that from happening by having a barrier. But when the extension to the property that you are renting is practically falling down because it's no longer safe, and you no longer have a workable kitchen for over 5 years, it is taking the piss. And like I said, I have managed to check the checking-in photographs, and to be honest, they're absolutely shit. They do not show enough of the property and the structural damage that this property has got and had from the moment I first moved in. Yes, over the years I have taken my own photographs, so again, there will be the whole, it's proving whether or not the damage was there and how long has it been there for and one thing and another. But anything structural, as far as I know, is not my responsibility as the tenant. It is my responsibility to inform my landlord if there is a structural issue, but it is not my responsibility to maintain the integrity of the structure of the building. Internally, yes, I am responsible for a certain amount of maintenance and, due care and due diligence. So it's not like I've been hammering nails into the walls or drilling into the foundations or drilling into the walls to put up pictures or anything like that. That has not took place while I have been here. The damage that is now visible, not just only externally and internally to the property that I'm still currently renting, is due to the age of the property, due to the fact that I've been here for 9 years, so it's classed as general wear and tear, and the fact that the property has been subjected to subsidence, foundation erosion, rising damp, mould, black mould, I believe, burst pipes, unmaintained guttering, which has caused leaks and water damage, both internally and externally to the property, the toilet leaking in the bathroom, radiators leaking, pipes under kitchen units leaking and bursting. Just trying to think what else I've had to deal with recently. Rotten wood as well. Anything made of wood has gone rotten. There are silverfish living in the bathroom. There are silverfish living in the kitchen. There are silverfish living in the living room. Everywhere where there has been rising damp or water damage, that has not been my fault or my responsibility. The only responsibility I had was to inform my landlord, which I did do. And they have chosen to not undertake the necessary work or precautions to prevent this from happening. I am in what is called an end terrace in Nuneaton, and 4 properties actually share the same guttering and the same downpipes, because each owner of the 4 houses that have joined have been negligent and have refused to maintain the guttering. It has caused the guttering to leak, not just by my house, but with all 4 properties. And no matter how many times I've tried to liaison with the owners of the houses over the last 9 years to say, you need to maintain your guttering, you've got buddleia growing in your guttering, you've got blocked leaves in your guttering is leaking, it is running down the wall of your property, it is running down my wall of my property, it is running down the communal areas, like footpaths that are shared by the 4 houses, causing subsidence, and nothing's been done about it. And other than, being hyper vigilant and trying to figure out where the water's probably going to end up in the house I'm renting itself, there's nothing more I could have done. So I am mentally and physically and emotionally drained at the moment. Today's a good eye day for me. It's because it's foggy outside. And yes, I have got the light on. But the stress that I have been put under by my landlords to now move out within the next 2 months is an absolute joke. But we are where we are, and I can't do any more than that. All I'm trying to do really is put information on social media to support other people and to make sure that you don't end up being in the same situation as my next door neighbours were when they moved out last year. They didn't get their tenancy agreement back, their bond back. And if they had asked me to do the paperwork for them, I wouldn't have done it for them personally. I would have had someone else help me. They would have got it back. So many people keep saying, you're not going to get your bond back. You're not going to get your bond back. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I paid £700 when I moved into this house. I need that money back in order to help me find somewhere else to live. All right, I have caused no damage to this property. And apart from a coat of magnolia paint in the living room, if I feel lenient to do so, I am not required to paint any of the other rooms. And the reason I'm not required to paint any of the other rooms is because the damage that has been done in the kitchen, in the bathroom, in the bedrooms, has been done because my landlord has been negligent. It has been done because he needed to have a new boiler put in. He needed to have a new bath put in. He needed to have a new shower put in. He needed to have a new extractor fan put in the bathroom because they were not working. They were not fit for purpose. And the people that put them in, and any damage that was done or any alterations that were done. So tiles that may have recently been covered are now showing their natural colour instead of the disgusting plastic silver paint that somebody put on them that every time you have a shower or a bath, it just peels off because it's not suitable for being in a bathroom. The same with the kitchen. They have not used the correct paint for the walls. And again, all of the walls in this house have actually been painted. They have not been wallpapered. And most of the walls in this property are external. There are very few internal walls in this property because there is a through room. So what would have been the kitchen is now also part of the lounge. And I am not going to be held responsible for things that are not my fault. And I will make sure that I take the necessary legal precautions and follow legal guidelines that I am given in order to make sure that I am treated fairly when I eventually vacate this premises. And I am saying this to everybody, do not be bullied by your landlord. If they are not doing their job properly, there are avenues out there. They're not that great, and they do take a while to do the job. But report them and keep photographic evidence wherever possible of everything. So thank you very much. Enjoy your Sunday. Any information you want to give, please feel free to do so. But again, if anyone is rude or abusive to myself or anyone else, your comments will be removed. So thank you very much for your time and all the best. Take care of you and stay safe.